Okay, hello, welcome everyone. Today is 2nd of June 2022, and this is the Let's Talk Top Tech meeting. Kate, you have the topic?
Yeah, I guess the topic question. Um, so Kevin, you're doing the Kebichet sort of rewrite almost, not rewrite, but you're making the callback functionality, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think we talked about in a previous tech talk if this meant sort of what's the word, like streaming data or not webhooks.
WebSockets.
WebSockets, right? Yeah, if that meant WebSockets, and there wasn't really a use case at the moment, but I
Yeah.
was wondering if like advisor logs or any sort of logs that gets constantly updated all the time,
Mhm.
if that would be a valid reason to have that sort of WebSocket functionality.
Yeah, I think it would. I just don't know how that would work because I know that I don't know how can you like pass WebSockets between um like apps very easily like because basically you'd ask the user API to open a WebSocket, but then you'd either have to stream stuff to the user like the logs to the user API, or you'd have to open a WebSocket on Advisor to stream the logs. I don't know how that would work exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you could always open two WebSockets and have them stream
Yeah.
user API as an intermediate, but I I don't know. I don't know if is it just like a redirect then? You're redirecting to the advisor and the advisor handles it?
Yeah, I think I looked it up, and I don't think you can pass a WebSocket around because I think you have to upgrade the original HTTP request to a WebSocket.
Okay.
So you'd have to you'd have to open the WebSocket and then open one with the advised logs and do that stream back and forth, which I think is definitely doable and seems like uh, a good technical problem.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a fun project for Kafka
Yes.
or just simple WebSockets.
Yeah.
Cool. I just wanted to see if it was a possibility or if it's something that's worth doing.
Yeah, because
I
we
mean,
don't. Thamos doesn't get the. Does it get the logs as it goes, or I don't remember. Like if you do Thamos advise without and
does
keep
it
it
just
waiting.
pick the current?
The advisory logs?
Yeah.
Yes, I think it does. Like maybe
Is
if it's on verbose mode, but I think it does to get the log.
Are you sure? I think I have been trying to troubleshoot recently, not getting an advice from the staging environment, and what I saw was from a Thomas advice. I don't know if the workflow from Kerehet is the same, but if it's using the user API, I assume it will. So the way Thomas works, as far as I could see, was it sends the advice request API call, and it gets back an advisor ID, and then it keeps polling an API endpoint to get the status of the advice, but nothing else. Like it gets it doesn't get any logs of the advice. It just gets a status update saying it's running, or it's waiting or something, and until it finishes, and then it gets the results.
Nice.
And so my question, maybe I got lost in the conversation, but I turning this into a WebSocket with streaming communications seems like a significant change, right? Then not just, I mean, the user API is RESTful and not ready for this type of interface, right?
Well, I mean, I think you could be able to just add an endpoint that supports WebSockets without breaking the rest of the API's functionality.
Maybe.
And
Okay.
I mean, it's still I don't know. I think it's still RESTful, except it's just like the connection stays open longer.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. it's not like we're doing multiple requests back and forth and it's closing and it needs to remember. It's just open. Which I think, I don't know what the technology we would use, because I know we use Flask, right, for our API. So, I mean, I'm sure there's some like low-level stuff we could use for simple WebSockets. But I think the issue is, like Kevin said, you would have to do that user API to advisor. I mean, I think that'd be the more complicated part than managing 2 different connections at once and then making sure those don't close. What happens when one closes? What happens if, yeah.
And then does Kubernetes have a, it must have a, because you can stream stuff up from Kubernetes logs. It has a way to listen into pod logs too. So there might already be a way to open one pretty easily, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, you can, but I think you're not interested as much in the in the pod logs, but in the results of the advice, right? Which are not necessarily the same.
Right, but the functionality might be exposed for us to use through the advisor, because the advisor's running on OpenShift, right?
Yeah,
So,
it might not require any extra work on advisor if you can open a socket to the pod logs already through Kubernetes.
Yeah, what I'm saying though is that the pod logs are not the advice results. I think they are different.
Yeah, I think Gage, this isn't about getting the advice results. I thought it was just about getting the logs.
yeah,
the log.
just
like-
about getting the
Like
logs.
watching the
Okay.
status.
Because the webhooks, that would, not webhooks, but the callback functionality, that'd work for the advise, because it would just give it to you when it's done.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need anything persistently,
Okay.
unless you want to do things like the status. If this, whenever the status updates, that would also work with WebSockets because it changes more than once in a lifetime.
Yeah, I guess you could see when it goes from waiting to be scheduled to scheduled.
It aired if possible.
Error. Yeah.
I don't think there's too many states for the status, is there? At least I haven't noticed it.
I think there's 4.
Okay.
It's waiting to be scheduled, scheduled, in progress. Oh no, completed and error. So 5.
Okay.
The other thing is that comparing it to the callback approach, it would be much more synchronous, like keeping a connection open versus, a more decoupled approach of callbacks, which might be more, I don't know, pros and cons, but what happens if the WebSocket connection drops? And, how do we make sure that the results get back?
Right. Especially if there's 2 WebSockets going. But I mean, a lot of them do have recovery. And I mean, it's not the end of the world if the logs get dropped, because you can always restart the connection because you already have the key, the advisor ID.
Yeah, and then it's on the user to restart the socket. It's
Yeah.
not on us to do it then.
Unless, would it be on us if the connection between the advisor and the user API socket failed? It might not be. I mean, we could just send a failed and close it.
Yeah, I think we just have to close it.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I just don't know, because we basically have to stream data back to the user API from to do status stuff, because it's right now when you get status, it just sends out a request, but you'd have to send it back into user API to stream it out.
Mm.
So I don't know.
Okay, well, I guess that answers it.
Cool. Anything else on that topic? No? Any other topic? If not, well, thank you everyone for attending, and going to stop the recording.